Sheriff's Annual Awards Banquet. My name is Patrick Stryker. I will be your MC for tonight. I am the Executive Director of Spokane Cops, so I am Rick Scott's counterpart, and I'm really excited to be here. I love the Sheriff's Department. I think we've got a phenomenal sheriff in Sheriff Ozzie. I know Jack Brusick, who is, Jack, who is the chair of the board, he and I always talk about how great Sheriff Ozzie is, and I think we're just so blessed in this county to have someone like Sheriff Ozzie who constantly goes to bat for the community, and I think that's pretty phenomenal. And Scope, I love you guys. Since you're my counterparts, I meet with Rick Scott all the time, and I'm not ashamed to admit I steal every idea from him. Rick is great. It's ironic in light of what we do that I'm stealing like that, but it's great to work with Rick and Venus, and even Dave Deputy Morris is okay from time to time when Venus reins him in. No, I'm kidding. I love you, Dave. And the sheriff's deputies, I can say every time you guys pull me over, you're so polite, and it's like a frequent flyer thing with me. It's all the time. So thank you guys for all that you do. I think we're going to have a great night tonight. First thing first, I would like to call up the Spokane County Sheriff's Office Color Guard to do the presentation of the flag for us. So if we can please rise for the presentation of the flag. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ready? Detail. Hop. Ready. Sit. Ready. Cut. Ready. Face. Forward. Mark.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right. Now, before we get going with dinner, we have some special guests tonight that I would like to introduce. So when I say your name, if you could please stand. Chaplain Mark Smith, the Office of the Chaplaincy. Thank you. Thank you. We have some dignitaries, Senator Shelley Short, Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers, Deputy District Director Tracy Couture, and State Representative Jacqueline Maycomer. From the State Patrol, we have Captain Jeff Otis. From the County Commissioner's Office, we have Al French and Mary Cooney with her husband Max. We have the Spokane County CEO, Jerry Gemmel, and his wife Diane. To mayors tonight, Rod Higgins from the city of Spokane Valley and Steve Peterson from Liberty Lake. From the Scope Board of Directors, Marilyn Cline, Chuck Hafner, and Ken Weisner. As friends and supporters of Scope, we have Representative Ed Bedell from the Spokane Federal Credit Union, DeVries Information Management, Spokane County IT Systems, and Esther Larson and Heidi Dennis. From Fairchild Air Force Base, we have Captain Luke Riestad, Staff Sergeant Christopher Martin and his wife Grace, Thomas Bowling, and Tech Sergeant Derek Washburn. From Spokane Cops, we have Jack Brusick and Maurice Volcano. From the Sheriff's Citizen Advisory Board members, we have Skip Johnson, Charles Parker, Brandy Peets, Bob West, and Kenneth Wynn. And then our volunteer drivers for the Mobile Operations Center, we have Ted Callahan, William Mader, Steve Payne, Gene Peterson, Lisa Hoyt, Cindy Shackelford, Rich Tuftlin, and the DEM Program Specialist, Christopher Barnes. Our honor guard tonight was Gary Smith and John Oliphant. Doing photo and video tonight, we have Mark Gregory, Randy Dale, Cassandra Silva, and Chris Eason. From Neighborhood Watch and Crime Prevention, we have Venus Del Cambray Morris, Deputy Dave Morris, and Deputy Christopher Johnston. The banquet committee tonight is Rick Scott, Cheryl Womble, and Julie Mindeman. And finally, the banquet subcommittee is G. Sutherland, Linda Nilsson, Carol Snyder, Donna Goff, Rhonda Gore, and Nancy Hopkins. So those are all the folks that help make all of this happen. And now I would like to call up Chaplain Mark Smith and his wife, Teresa.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together tonight. Lord, we thank you for our health, our homes, and our work. We ask that you would bless this food to our bodies. Lord, we thank you for the special moments we will share tonight as the Spokane County Sheriff's Office family. And God, we ask for your strength and your guidance and your protection for those working this evening, and for your blessings upon this banquet tonight. In Christ Jesus' name, amen.
We're going to take a moment to remember those we've lost this past year. Myra Lou Bingaman, Sherry Marshall Kennedy, Vicki Gish, Chuck Johnson, Doug Ryder, Mike Almond, Ruby Emerson, and Marvin Dell.
Okay. And finally, now we're going to get to dinner.
So again, this is actually the highlight of each year for my job, is to see all of you, sheriff officers, deputy admin, scope volunteers, of course, and spouses attending our banquet here. This is for all of you. It's a little part of what we can do to recognize what each of you do and have done, for throughout the year and for other times. So right now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to have a bunch of scope volunteers come up here. So I'm going to go ahead and say their names first so they can start lining up here with Cheryl over here. Get my list here, and if you know who you are, we have Dale Cline, Betty Klundt, Candy Davis, Ted Westfall, Geraldine Sprague, Darlin McKibben, Staff Sergeant Christopher Martin, Ray Baesler, Ken Dixon, Gene Gulden, Neta McKenzie, Bill Newman, Larry Gants, and Harley Gordon. And then we're also going to ask our board of directors to come up, Chuck, Ken, and Marilyn, who are here tonight. And Deputy Morris. Okay, while they're all kind of assembling over here, again, I just to kind of tag on with what the sheriff just mentioned about, our sheriff's unit here is internationally known and renowned for what they do. Scope, we feel Scope tags along with them being nationally known too as one of the top-notch community-oriented policing units or organizations in the country. We actually started after the Spokane Cops Volunteer Program started about a year later, and so we have a lot to contribute to them starting it first. But as Patrick told you a little earlier, I think he does steal a lot of stuff, but we didn't tell him that we stole a lot of stuff from him or his organization first. So, right, Maurice? Okay. So anyway, I'm going to have Deputy Morris here. He would like to say maybe a few words first.
Thank you, Rick. I have always been extremely proud of my agency and the deputies I work with. And I also want to say I am deeply honored these last 3 years when I've had the privilege of working with Scope volunteers from all across the county, from many walks of life. And I'm constantly amazed at their selfless dedication, the way they give of themselves and their time and their heart to our community. And it's very humbling for me. And I'm very gratified to be able to be up here and just be part of them getting just a little bit of the recognition that they really deserve. So, thank you for all you Scope members.
Thanks, David. Okay, maybe just a couple more words here before we get started with our presentations here. Again, I want to thank all of our supporters here. So I'm going to actually, we're going to start with that. And if anybody, we have DeVries Information Management. They've helped out a lot, supplying us with office furniture and different things. They do shredding for us. Pat DeVries was on our Scope board for many years. And if there's anybody from DeVries here who would like to present them with something, I don't believe there is, but okay. Next, I'd like to just thank the Spokane County Sheriff's Office for all they do to support us. It's huge. We fall into their budget there, and thanks for the county commissioners for supporting Scope, and we hope that you continue to support us with whatever you can. And we also have a CEO, Jerry Gilmore, here, and his wife too. So again, thanks for your support too. So okay, and then next we have Esther Larson. She's with the Sheriff's Office. She's helped us out a lot throughout the years with funding, grants, and also with our contracts. She does a lot of work for us, and also Heidi Dennis. The two of them have really given us a lot of support, and I believe neither one are here tonight. So now I'd like to have Ed Bedell and Charlotte come up. They're from Spokane Federal Credit Union. They're a sponsor of this banquet here and also support Scope in the Sheriff's Office a lot. So I believe we have, maybe Chris, Chris, can you come up here and help us out a little, maybe? Oh, the other Chris, the important Chris, Deputy Johnston. Thanks. Thank you. Okay. I'm kind of fumbling through my paperwork here now. So one of our other, excuse me for just 1 second here. Okay. Just throw it off. Okay. I would like to have Karen Burrington with Spokane County IT also come up. I'd like to read a little. She's helped scope out so much, and one of our stations, Scope North, has worked a lot with Karen, and so we just wanted to recognize her too. So I'm going to read about her. Karen Burrington has been a constant contributor to the success of Scope. When Scope encounters technical computer-related problems, Karen always takes the time to help resolve the issues. We particularly appreciate her patience as she helps volunteers who have limited computer skills. Thank you, Karen, for your professionalism, dedication, and strong positive commitment in supporting Scope and continues to help Scope meet its goals of serving the Spokane community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So next, I think we're going to start with our awardees. And we have Dale Cline from Central Valley Scope. The 2017 Volunteer of the Year for Central Valley is always there to get it done, regardless of the weather or personal time constraints. Seldom does he ask for help or mentions he was at the station working on any number of projects needing to be done. Drive by and you will always see a well-groomed yard courtesy of Dale, often after spending hours on his personal one. Just recently, he, with the help of 2 other great volunteers, completed a major station repainting to increase the station's visibility to the public and improve the overall appearance of Central Valley Scope in the neighborhood. Dale, on behalf of your station, Scope, and the Sheriff's Office, thank you for everything you do. Deer Park is Betty Klundt. Betty started volunteering for Scope in 2014 and has been very active in all activities since then. She works in the office on Monday and Friday and does citizen on patrol on Mondays as well. The trunk of the car is always stocked with stuffed animals and dolls, which she gives to the small children while patrolling their community of Deer Park. When children see the Scope car coming, they line up to receive a new doll or stuffed animal from her. She also provides bike helmets to the older children while out on patrol. Although she is involved in Winterfest, We Heart Deer Park Physical Fitness Run, and Pumpkin Lane, as well as assists with traffic for other events held in Deer Park. Her greatest joy is giving away dolls and helmets to underprivileged children while on COP. Thank you, Betty. That was awesome. Okay, we have Candy Davis from Scope East. Candy started with Scope East in the summer of 2015 and helped move their office to a new location even before she attended basic training and became a volunteer. In addition to doing citizen on patrol, she works many hours working, cleaning, organizing, and rearranging the Scope East office and has put together a very large yard sale. She puts her sewing skills to work on making lap blankets for the elderly, sewing walker caddies, and making bibs, all of which are given to the nursing homes. She also has worked the Interstate Fair and Skyfest this year. Her willingness to go the extra mile, regardless of what is needed, has been admired by the total office. This year, she has given a total of 942 hours, including 530 hours for CERT, our Scope Incident Response Team. She has gone out on several incidents and worked several community events such as Fairfield Parade, the Torchlight Parade in downtown Spokane, and traffic control for the Interstate Fair. Thanks, Candy. Yeah. Okay, our next volunteer is Ted Westfall from Edgecliff. Ted has served as our office manager where he organized, purged, and set up new files which had not been done for years. He is a humble man of integrity and honesty and has outstanding computer skills, which he gladly shares with volunteers who are not as computer savvy. He has worked over 1,000 hours this year alone, wow, attending all meetings and training classes while ensuring advisory board members and the volunteer chairpersons who are aware of upcoming volunteer opportunities. Ted worked with Scope Maine for various events in addition to all events held at Edgecliff. He co-chaired Scope Edgecliff's National Night Out party, their flea market, and the Scope Brookdale picnic. Ted works at the Scope Edgecliff desk 5 days a week, training new volunteers, covering extra shifts for the ill and injured volunteers, and provides transportations when needed to doctor appointments, hospital, and rehab facilities without hesitations. Thank you, Ted. Okay, we have Geraldine Sprague from Elk. Geraldine Sprague has been a volunteer just over a year. She helps in our office, does citizen on patrol, assisted with the postal food drive in Elk, volunteered at the county fair, assists with traffic control whenever needed, participates in fundraisers, and worked at the Elk Days Snack Shack for the Scope Elk fundraiser this summer. In addition, she volunteers every week at our North County food pantry and prepares meals for those in need. Along with all those activities, she bakes the most delicious goodies, yes, to bring to their monthly meetings. Okay, we'll put out when their monthly meetings are for all. Be prepared. We have all put on a few pounds thanks to Geraldine's baking talents. She always has a smile on her face and is willing to help in any way she can. We treasure you, Geraldine, and on behalf of your station, Scope, and the Sheriff's Office, thank you for everything you do. Okay, from EW Cheney Scope, we have Darlin McKibbens. Darwin has been a Scope volunteer for 3 years. Before joining Scope, he lived in a secluded rural area where he experienced problems with illegal dumping and cars parked in strange areas during the day. After consulting with neighbors, he decided it was a good time to get involved and find out what he could do to help the neighborhood be safer. He joined the closest Scope station, which was Westfall at the time, and volunteered there until moving to Cheney in 2016. After his relocation, he joined the EW Cheney Scope station. He recruited his wife and 2 additional volunteers this year and thoroughly enjoys being a Scope volunteer. Thank you, Dora. Okay, from our Scope on Fairchild, we have Staff Sergeant Christopher A. Martin. Scope on Fairchild is pleased to submit Staff Sergeant Christopher Martin for the prestigious Scope Volunteer of the Year Award. This award represents something which means a lot to the 92nd Security Forces Squadron and Fairchild Air Force Base. Active involvement within our community. The members of Team Fairchild are dedicated to global community service and are committed to whatever they can make Spokane and the surrounding communities in our world a much better place to live. As the NCOIC of Police Services, Staff Sergeant Martin accomplished many things in 2017. We are proud of and celebrate his achievements. In addition to his tremendous workload as an active duty member of the U.S. Air Force, he also volunteered several hours for the National Night Out, Police Week, Red Ribbon Week, Dare, McGruff, and Scruffy, Eddie Eagle, Citizens on Patrol, Pumpkin Patrol, and many other Scope-related community events. Chris has never rested on his laurels. Instead, he continues to move forward to ensure we are better protected both at the home station and deployed. Chris, we salute you for a job well done. Thank you. Thank you. Usually I get a hoo-ah or something like that from the military. Okay. Liberty Lake, we have Ray Baesler. Liberty Lake Scope Volunteer of the Year Award goes to Ray Baesler. Ray has accumulated numerous volunteer hours this year as our secretary/treasurer and our stand-in vice president. He is faithful to school patrol, which provides safety to both Liberty Lake Elementary and the Liberty Creek students, in addition to assisting with fundraising efforts, including the Liberty Lake Saturday Market. Ray interacts well with people who are interested in volunteering with Scope. He is a member of their advisory team and finds time to oversee their office. Ray is our computer guru and constantly brings new ideas to share with our volunteer staff and advises our membership of all upcoming activities via email. He definitely is the computer guru there. Thanks, Ray. Okay, we have Ken Dickson from Scope Medical Lake. Medical Lake Scope Volunteer of the Year goes to Ken Dickson. He joined Scope in April of 2017. He is a valuable volunteer for our station and community by providing services such as citizen on patrol, school patrols, radar, awareness, Operation Family ID, and he obtained his limited commission this year, allowing him to conduct disabled parking enforcement and much more. Ken is one who is always willing to lend a hand wherever and whenever there's a need. He is without a doubt a valuable asset to Scope, for Scope, and the entire Medical Lake community. Thanks again, Ken. Okay, with our Scope Mounted Patrol. We have any Mounted Patrol people? There we go. I could count on you guys. Okay, Gene Gulden. The 2017 Mounted Patrol Volunteer of the Year is Gene Gulden. Gene has been devoted to the sheriff's posse for several years and has been instrumental in managing our main fundraiser, the Scope Mounted Patrol D-Spook event. It kind of sounds like a Halloween deal right now. There you go. So working with those horses. Gene is the Mounted Patrol rider trainer who sets up the layout for the obstacles and organizes the materials for the obstacles and is our go-to leader. D-Spook is a 3-day event where 4-H Pony Club, members of the general public, as well as our Mounted Patrol team work with several local professional horse trainers to desensitize horses by exposing them to scary objects and working with them through their fear. Thank you, Gene, for sharing your experience and passion with the team. Thank you. Okay, we're almost down to the last of this. Scope North, we have Neta McKenzie. Scope North's Volunteer of the Year is Neta McKenzie. It isn't often someone says, I'll do it, but when a vacancy for station president, when a vacancy for station president at Scope North occurred this year, Neta offered to take on the responsibility through 2018. Not only is she very active and involved as our president, but Neta continues to be our disabled parking enforcement lead and takes a regular weekly shift and sometimes more often on Citizen on Patrol. She is also certified for detective support, latent fingerprinting, and radar. With a typical Scope workload of 50 to 70 hours per month, Neta McKenzie is both our leader and a major contributor to the success of Scope North. Scope North thanks you, Neta, for your commitment and leadership, and Scope Maine does too. Okay, the next one is not here. So Larry, you gotta wait 1 second. This is Scope South, and I think he's down in Cabo or something like that. He said I said, you got to prioritize sometimes what you want, where you want to be. But Scope South, and that's our newest station up on the South Hill, Bill Newman. Scope South Volunteer of the Year is Bill Newman. Bill was introduced to Scope through friends at a church and almost immediately volunteered to work at the Sheriff's Crime Prevention Office at the Valley Mall. Bill has always felt his gift from God is a service. Between his devotion to his church and helping at Habitat for Humanity, Bill has donated approximately 1,200 hours of service to Scope this year alone. His most exciting volunteer role has been with the CERT team, our Scope Instant Response team. This year, he has helped at many 5K fun runs and dog walks, fairs, and other special events. He has also assisted at fires, power outages, traffic accidents, homicides, and his most recent role was at the Freeman High School incident, where he worked tirelessly throughout the night, assisting traffic control and scene security. Bill, along with help from the county library district, established the inaugural Scope National Night Out Block Party for the South Hill Scope this year. He worked endlessly recruiting sponsors and local business partners for a very well-attended and spectacular event. Bill said he has never worked for a finer group of people and extends his special thanks to all who have made Scope South success possible. Thanks, Bill, in Cabo. Okay, our volunteer for the year from University Scope is Larry Gants. Scope University Volunteer of the Year is Larry Gants. Larry has taken an important role of the radar team lead for all of Scope's stations. He has spent many hours putting up and taking down the sheriff radar boards, getting the radar guns out, getting the radar guns for all of our stations to use, as well as purchasing a trailer for us to transport our radar board to different locations. Larry is a dedicated CERT team member going out at all hours of the day and night to help our deputies in times of need. Adding to his many accomplishments, Larry was recently recognized as a Citizen of the Month in the local newspaper called The Current. So that was awesome. This just this month. So Larry, on behalf of your station, Scope, and the Sheriff's Office, thank you for everything you do. Okay, we have West Valley Scope. Harley Gordon is their Scope Volunteer of the Year, but Ronnie Gore is going to stand in and receive his presentation. Scope West Valley's Volunteer of the Year is Harley Gordon. Harley has been a volunteer with Scope for 6 years and the West Valley Scope Vice President for the last 2. He is our team leader for Assist on Patrol and Radar programs and is one of the leaders for the latent print lift team, where he dedicated copious amounts of time providing the valuable service to victims of vehicle prowls with the hope of identifying suspects while reassuring the victims the sheriff's office cares about them. He will take on any job we ask him to do, and we can always count on him without complaint to tackle the extra duties with a smile. Thanks, Harley Gordon. Okay. Next, actually, we have, is Marilyn Grier here? Marilyn, would you come up here? And Larry and Shirley Cornwell. Okay. While they're making their way up, there they are. Just like to again thank everyone for attending our banquet here again. And Shirley. Okay. Each year, we also put out another award, which we don't post it in our program here, and it's our Lifetime Achievement Awards. So this year we have 2 awards were passed out. And I will start with Marilyn Grier here. So we're pleased to recognize Marilyn Grier for the Scopes Lifetime Achievement Award. While Marilyn was working as the president of the PTA, she became concerned about drugs in the schools. She was put in touch with a newly formed volunteer group known as Scope. Marilyn became a member in 1998. She has been a volunteer of Scope East and has held every elected position except for treasurer. What's that saying? Uh-oh. She didn't want the money. And is currently the vice president there. Marilyn has volunteered with Scope, flagging, latent fingerprint, CERT, CERT, Community Emergency Response Team, Centennial Trail Watch, Radar Reader Board, Graffiti, and OFID, just to name a few. She joined OFID in 2002 and has remained with the program ever since. Did I mention what OFID? Operation Family ID, where we fingerprint kids and give the information packets to the parents in case they need them. She is very proud of the OFID program and has done fingerprinting for over 2,000 children just this year alone. She was instrumental with starting the Otis Day parades in 2004 and has overseen the community event ever since. Marilyn is very deserving of the Lifetime Achievement Award. Okay, so our other Lifetime Achievement awardees are, we're pleased to recognize Larry and Shirley Cornwell with the Scope Lifetime Achievement Awards. Larry started volunteering for Scope in 1997 and Shirley began her Scope journey 2 years later. Larry received a limited commission in 1998 and holds that to this day. Shirley followed and got her limited commission 2 years later. Although due to illness, Shirley gave up her commission. They both still do disabled parking enforcement whenever they can. Larry has served as president and vice president for Scope Deer Park through his tenure there. Shirley was the secretary from 2008 till 2016. Amazing run. They both volunteer every Tuesday at the office. Larry and Shirley both enjoy doing Operation Family ID, volunteering for Winterfest, We Heart Deer Park, Football Patrol. You playing football, Larry? And the Pumpkin Lane event up in Deer Park, among other local events that involve Scope. They have been and continue to be invaluable volunteers for Scope and at Deer Park. Thank you. Okay.
Cops here.
Yeah, we'll do the cops. You know, I forgot on our supporters for Spokane Cops, I think we didn't give them their presentation. So if either Jack, maybe Jack come up? Yeah, Jack Brusick, he's on their on their Cops Board of Directors. Jack, we do take volunteers for our board too, so if you're ever thinking about it. Jack just retired from the Department of Corrections for I don't know how many years. How many years were you at the Department of Corrections? 37 years. Oh my, what an amazing run. So. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks to Spokane Cops. Definitely we work with them a lot. So, Okay, this is where we come to our Spirit of Scope Award each year. It's always a hard thing to choose volunteers for the different awards here. Each of the volunteers, all of them are just so special, and it's amazing where the volunteers' hearts are at. Like I mentioned earlier, we've been rated like tops in the nation. At one time, I know we had more volunteers and volunteer hours than down in Los Angeles. I mean, and on the other side of the state in King County for just, Spokane County. So we have a very, very dedicated group of volunteers here. So I really applaud all you first. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Okay, the 2017 Spirit of Scope Award is presented on behalf of the Scope staff and board of directors to recognize a volunteer who embodies the mission and values of the Scope organization. This includes giving of their time, energy, and complete effort in support of Scope, the Sheriff's Office, and the community they serve. This year's award winner has been a member of Scope for over 13 years and has dedicated over 10,000 hours to the Sheriff's Office and Scope since starting in 2004. 10,000 hours, amazing. Her commitment and enthusiasm for Scope and the Sheriff's Office has been deeply felt throughout, and she is loved and appreciated by many. She always has a positive attitude and is eager to help everyone. It is always a great pleasure working with her. As coordinator, it's always the tough part, as coordinator of the Sheriff's Investigative Unit for Runaway Youth, she has demonstrated a great passion for reuniting troubled families and has been instrumental in helping both youth and their parents find ways for a healthier, more successful future. Not only has she been extremely dedicated to the Sheriff's Office, but she has also worked with Neighborhood Watch, Operation Family ID, numerous community events, and the office assistant at the Medical Lake and North Scope stations. Foreign students at the Mukagawa Fort Wright Institute have expressed how influential she has been in their lives by showing them how rewarding and important volunteering can be. It is now a great honor to recognize G. Sutherland as our 2017 Spirit of Scope volunteer. She is an awesome lady. Gee, how many kids have you worked with?
Well, I find about 2,000 a year. So if you ever run away from home, I'm there. As I tell my parents, I'm your new best friend, and it's a helpline. So if you ever need it, call 477-6928.
Awesome.
I'll be there for you.
Here you go, G. Okay, I'm going to go turn this back to the sheriff here, and I'll pick up my stuff. Oh, before the board leaves here, we do have plaques with certificates for the board. So we only have 3 of our 6 board members here tonight. Unfortunately, a couple couldn't make it for different reasons. So Chuck Hafner here. We have Chuck. And we have Marilyn Cline. And we have our president this year, Ken Weisner. And Jim Kaufman, Chuck Stalker, and Bill Bates could not make it, unfortunately. So thank you to the board.